Hey guys, Justin here with JHart Modelworks. It has been a few weeks since I've actually gotten to do any actual building. By now you will have seen, of course, the final on the Ferrari. You'll see the gallery airbrush review and as well as the little BAC mono side project that I did. All of that was either done during the foundation repair in the hotel, or it was all shot before that and was edited afterwards. So this is the first time in at least 2 or 3 weeks that I've actually gotten to start really doing some building, and I am anxious to get back at it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be starting next. That is going to be Revell's 69 Mustang Super Cobra Jet build. Now to this kit, we're going to be adding in the C1-Models RTR-X Widebody kit. This is based on an actual modified car, and while there's some things I like and there's some things I don't like about that car, we're going to give it our own flavor here and there. But this is a really cool kit. If you have not seen a widebody kit from C1, in my channel there's a playlist for the 69 Nova Restomod, and that build uses one of Chris's kits as well. So you can go check that out and see what we're going to be in for. So there's not a whole lot to this, but the parts that are in here are pretty cool. So we're going to get this camera flipped around and take a look at what's inside these boxes. Then maybe we'll discuss some of my plans on what we've got in store for this kit. We shall see, but for right now, let's get to it. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start with this box first. Now these were originally in a cellophane bag, but the cellophane bag was open and there were parts floating around loose. Now they may have fallen off the tree. This is an old kit, but these are the kind of parts that I would start messing with if I were to start looking at the kit. So let's go ahead and take a look at these real quick just to get them out of the way. So we have the rear clip. We have the front clip. The steering wheel probably did fall off. I will most likely be replacing that as well, probably with a Momo or something. And then you have both halves of the engine and transmission, as well as the oil pans. So you can kind of see what I'm saying about these pretty much being the kind of things that you're going to look at first if you were looking at or playing with the model and getting ready to build it. So I think somebody may have taken some parts off the trees and then just stuffed them back in the box. Bear with my voice, guys. It is allergy season in Texas. So we've had a lot of rain lately, wind stirring up all the pollen, and it is getting down into my throat and chest. So we have our body. There's some molded in detail that I'm not a super big fan of, such as this molded in battery is going to go. The molded in windshield wipers may go, but they'll probably stay. I'll probably just bare metal foil these. This nub here, which is there to hold the master cylinder in place, I will probably cut this out and flush this back. As you can see, it kind of indents through here. But I will basically smooth that out so that I could stick a 3D printed master cylinder in there, because I also plan on changing out the brakes, I believe. Rest of the body looks pretty good. Mold lines will need a little work. There's definitely some seams along this front end. Very sharp mold lines back here, but at least they're easy to see, to find and remove. You know, just typical, body work. We're going to sharpen up all of our trim here with the panel lines. Need to rescribe those. The rear clip looks like that's going to sit pretty well. Definitely need to do a little bit of filling and sanding on these edges. Most of that's going to be covered up with the bumper. I'll definitely want this to be cleaned up a bit on this corner down here. The fit on the front clip seems to be pretty nice as well. Now I know this is an actual original seam on the body on the original car. I will most likely fill this and sand it smooth. I just don't care for that lip personally. I think it distracts from the lines of the car. And since we're doing this as a Restomod car, we may as well clean that up. We have our chassis. Most of our front suspension is already molded in place. Our rear suspension is not. Oh, that looks pretty nice. We'll see what we can't do to make that a little nicer. There's some gauges in there, but there are no decals for the gauges. We'll see that here in a little bit. We have our strut mounts. And all in all, everything looks pretty good. I am not a huge fan of this hood. I don't really like this lump right here. Now, this comes with a little shaker style hood that stops back here. I'm probably looking at either using a part from Pixel 3D, because he's got a body kit for this car. The only thing I want is really just his hood piece. Sadly, it's not the whole hood. It would be nice if he did the whole hood instead of just that part, but he does a part that'll actually fit a little better. So that's sprue number 1. Sprue number 2. We have these side air vents. Well, that just broke. We also have our interior tub, and sadly, the door cards are molded in place, which is going to make that a little harder to detail. I will most likely try to cut these door cards out so that I can, do a better job with them. We have a 2-piece seat. And we have the exhaust. Top of our radiator. Everything looks to be pretty cleanly molded. This is an original release for this kit, so it's a pretty old kit. Another white sprue. This part just fell off the sprue while I was taking the sprue out of the box. So we have the intake manifold. We'll add that to our loose parts bag. Some more engine components. There's the kit's master cylinder, and there's that kind of hump in the back where it mounts on. I can see why they do it that way. It makes it easier to locate, but I got other plans. Here is our rear suspension. Some more engine components. And there's the inside of the wheels. I'm not a huge fan. I've got some other ideas. We'll see what happens. Carburetor is in 2 halves. There's a top and a bottom half. That's interesting. And there's the other half of our exhaust. And our last white sprue, we have a spoiler for the rear. I think this is a front lip spoiler. I'll have to take a look at the instructions in a bit. And then here's that shaker hood. So basically this part goes onto this part, and then this just kind of pokes up through the bottom of the hood. Something like that. We can do better than that. We have our clear parts, which as soon as I saw that the bag was open, I got these out and got these into a clear Ziploc bag, as they are relatively clean. There's not a lot of distortion in the windshield
Rear glass looks good as well. I don't see a lot of scratches, so this should be pretty nice. I don't know what Revell's deal is with putting these lenses in the middle of the hood. This is absolutely stupid. So we will end up having to cover this giant hole up to make that look a little nicer. Maybe we'll use some acetate or some sheet styrene, something to clean that up. Some more lenses. Check out off the sprue. He does some amazing metal pulleys. He's got some like 3D engines and stuff like that as well. Great place to get parts. He also sells Protec. We have our chrome sprue, and there's a lot, and I mean a lot of chrome in here. Alternators. I have no idea what these are. There's tons of these little rectangles. Valve covers. Bumpers, license plates. Headlights maybe. Shifter. We have our bumpers and the front grille. Here are our wheels, and we're absolutely not going to use these. I'm looking at a couple of different options. I'm actually looking at 3 different options. The first option I'm looking at the wheels are a set of halibrands. These are real common on the Cobras and the old school GT40s. So they are kind of a little bit cliche to put on a Mustang, but it's a pretty common modification. Another option that we're possibly looking at is a set of American Racing torque thrusts. Everybody knows the torque thrusts. So them and Kragers are pretty much the 2 go-to aftermarket wheels for American muscle. And my third idea, since we are doing this as a Restomod, the new Ford GTs have an optional BBS FIR wheel. Now, I have the 3D model for these from Real Rims, so the possibility exists that I may use these and kind of like the old school way of putting halibrands on, but for this Restomod putting on these modern Ford GT wheels. So that's a cool option that I'm thinking about as well. We have some red clear parts for our taillights. Pretty nice. We have some tires in the baggie. Oh no, I put these in the bag. That's right. I threw these in the bag because these were laying loose inside the bag with all the parts. And they were laying right on top of the glass, and I didn't want these to burn the glass. So I pulled them out as quick as I could and put them in a separate baggie. But there is a considerable amount of flash on these. You will definitely want to take a hobby knife and scrape these. Chances are I'm going to end up just 3D printing a modern wheat tire. But no side branding. They all look to be the same size, so there's not a staggered front to back wheel. These are all probably a set of like 18s or something. Ah, another loose part. Apparently this is part of the roll bar. This kit has a roll bar in it. Moving on to our decal sheet, and it is almost entirely made up of body decals. There's a couple of plates. And a couple of stuff for the engine bay. Just a fan. Motorcraft, stuff like that. And we have our exhaustive instructions here. There are your paint callouts. Seven, 8, 9, 10. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And then there's some kind of instructions for the decals. That's going to be it for the instructions. So I have a bunch of these best model car parts. You can find these on eBay under best model car parts. This guy does fantastic gauge clusters. They are not a decal. They are printed on glossy cardstock or photo paper. So basically what you could do with these is just cut these out and drop these in here. These do not look like the ones we are looking for though. Oh, those are for the car that Livian didn't finish. These are the ones we're going to be using. So what you could do is cut these out and then drop these in these individual holes. So what I will most likely do instead is actually drill the holes out, and I will apply these from the back side to give us a nice, I'll probably put them on a small piece of like clear acetate or something and then glue them in from behind to give us the appearance of having a actual lens. But these are super awesome gauges if they would focus. So as you can see, the detail on his gauges is fantastic. All right, next up we have the C1-Models RTR-X 69 Mustang kit. So in here we get our front and rear fenders. Those are going to sit pretty much just like that. And then the fronts come in and they're going to wrap in just like that. So you can see where they're notched to fit that body line. That's going to come in, that's going to sit right up on our body like that. We will of course have to do a bit of modification to get these on. We also have some side air intakes, which look a little cooler than the original ones. He's going to drop in kind of like that. It's a close fit. So we'll get those glued in, and then we'll come back in and we will putty around this to fill this in and make this nice and smooth. We get a rear spoiler that sits a bit higher than the one originally on the kit. It's going to sit right above the Mustang logo like that. I'm not a huge fan of the way this sits on the side. We will probably sand this down, clean this up, and putty that to smooth that in with the rest of the body. And if you notice that it sits across the trunk. Now the actual car that this is designed after, this is a 3-piece and the center is a separate part. So what I will most likely do is, once I get this glued into place on the body, I will come back in with a razor saw and I will either cut this down or I will at least scribe it to get this to look like a 3-piece rear lip spoiler. Alright, and last we have our front lip spoiler. And that should sit on here something about like that. We'll have to figure that out when we get there. But yeah, it should sit something about like that. Alright guys, so that is going to be it for the unboxing. My plan is to do this up as some form of a Restomod. I've got some kind of cool ideas in mind. I've already got the colors planned out. We are definitely replacing out those wheels. We are definitely changing out that battery. Master cylinder. The seats are going to get replaced out with something 3D printed. Going to add in this really cool body kit from C1-Models, as well as we may do something with the engine. We'll see what happens. But all in all, I think this should be a really fun build, and I am going to be doing this one as a build series. It's been a while since I've done a build series. With everything going on in life, it's just been kind of crazy, and I think things are starting to settle down enough to the point that I can probably get this going and have a video at least every other week. So that's the plan. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I always appreciate you watching the videos, and I will catch you on the next one.